Hey, so this is a recording that you can definitely share with your teams and get the word out there. I had a talk with my attorneys, and obviously they respect the judge, but they disagree with her decision and her opinion. Um, we can definitely see that she's ignored everything that's on the website and a lot of our arguments, even though she has recognized what we were saying. Her decision was definitely not favorable to us. So we are looking at appealing this decision. Apparently, at the end of the judge's opinion, she gave permission to appeal her decision. So that was something that was pretty much known, is that whatever the outcome, if it was ruled in our favor, the SEC would have appealed it. If it was ruled not in our favor, we would appeal it. So that's really what we're looking at doing next. And so discussions have begun on what we want to do in that appeals process and what our arguments will be and strategizing that. So what I want to kind of explain here is, if you look meticulously through the Mark Cuban case, when Mark Cuban went up against the SEC, it looked like he was fighting a losing battle for 5 years. Every step of the way, it was just not looking like it was going to turn out for him. And it was really hard for him to keep moving forward. But he did. He kept moving forward. And even though he was denied a lot of the things that he wanted, or the SEC were granted things that were not in Mark Cuban's favor, like they were obviously granted preliminary injunction as well. Everything that they fought for a long time just wasn't going in Mark's favor. But at the end of the day, the trial was heard by a jury, and the jury was able to line up what Mark was actually doing, his actual legal responsibilities under law, and he was found not guilty. He was acquitted of all the charges that the SEC brought against him. It took some time. And so, as you have each read many of my updates, where I have provided to you the definition of a Ponzi, we can all clearly and distinctly see that Traffic Monsoon really isn't a match for the definition of a Ponzi, regardless of whatever the judge says now. It's definitely not an investment. An investment was not offered. Regardless of what people were imagining or what the SEC wants to imagine or what the judge wants to think, it's really not an investment. It wasn't being offered as one. It was not pretending to be an investment. People who purchased ad packs were given the option to surf and receive a reward, and there was no guaranteed amount what those rewards are. And that is not the definition of an investment, because those are rewards for surfing, and they had to actually do some work on their own. Otherwise, there was no reward for doing anything, because obviously you have to surf to get a reward. And those rewards had a maximum, but there was no guarantee any maximum would be reached. Well, anyway, what I'm just trying to say is, if you really look at the legal definitions of things, just like Mark Cuban's lawyer did, he said, no, that's not how the law is. That's not how the law was written. That's not what it says. And they were firm. They didn't give up. They kept fighting. And they went through the whole process, and it took some time. And so what I'm letting you know is that we are going down that same road. It's not going to be an easy road. It's not going to be fun. It's going to take some real guts. It's going to take everything that we have within our own selves, our own mindset, not to give up. Because at the end of the day, if this goes through every step, the preliminary injunction, let's remember, it's the first step on a long road. And the end of the road is a trial by jury. And that's where Mark Cuban was. At the end of the road, finally, he won. He was exonerated. He was cleared of all charges. And so what I'm saying is, if we have to take it all the way to that part, that end of the road, to win this, we're going to do it. Because I believe that the jury, the average everyday person, if they were able to see and hear what it is that I've been posting and publishing in all these groups, the arguments that our attorneys have already brought in front of the judge, the website itself, videos, testimonials, things like what Sunil has been creating, all of those videos. We could show those to the jury so they could see what the true picture of traffic monsoon is and what the majority of the people involved in traffic monsoon really were thinking and what they believed and how they were benefiting from the business and the services and how they're not pretend or fake. They were real. If we can really, that's where I look at it and say, if we do end up going all the way down this road to that point, we have a very good likelihood of winning this case at that stage. And the reason I say that is, if you've ever taken a philosophy class, or if you know about philosophy, you know that they set a chair in front of the class, and the teacher asks, "Is this a chair or a table?" And then they debate about it for the next hour and a half, and then even a whole week, and they debate about whether it's a table or a chair because it's got 4 legs, just like a table. You can set things on it. And then people debate about whether the chair is even there, if it's just a figment of our imagination. So when you're looking at a philosopher in those types of debates, that's kind of like how it is with lawyers and judges. They get caught up in legal mumbo jumbo. But the average, everyday individual, if they look at the website, if they hear my explanations, if they hear our point of view and what it is that was actually being sold and how things actually worked, I believe that they would be able to clearly, just like any of us are able to see, this isn't a Ponzi based upon actual legal definitions of things. And so we're going to keep going. We're going to appeal this current decision, it looks like, and then see what happens from there. And take each step as it comes to us and keep climbing over the next mountain and taking the next hurdle and keep moving forward until we win. Because I believe that there's no reason why we should lose this case when in actual reality, ever since, even before this business was even released, as I was reaching out to people to tell them that I was working on something, everyone from the very start was made fully aware, number one, we're selling advertising service. That's how it's presented in my videos. That's how it's presented on the website. That's how I presented it at meetings, that we are selling advertising services for people to promote their websites and their businesses, their offers, whatever it is that they're promoting. They can get visitors to their websites. And the pricing on our website, on Traffic Monsoon, is actually very comparable and competitive in pricing compared to other traffic exchanges, pay-to-click websites, Facebook, other advertising businesses that are out there in the mainstream. We're very cost effective. And looking at that reality, helps me just step back and say, you know what? I know what I was offering. I know what was being offered on the website, and I know that by legal definition, this really wasn't an investment at all. It wasn't being offered as an investment. And the amount of money that people earned was really there. Clearly not a Ponzi. Every definition of Ponzi that I can find, it's not a Ponzi. And I think that we've kind of gone over that just way too much, and people have asked me to stop repeating myself. But it's to that extent where we recognize that we shouldn't give up. And so I'm not going to give up. I am going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep fighting this. And so the next step, like I said, is we're going to appeal the decision from this judge. And the appeals process could take a year. So we don't know how long it'll take. We don't know if the end of the road will be at the end of that year, or it could take, like what happened in Mark Cuban's case, 5 years. But we are exploring every available option to get this resolved as quickly as we possibly can, especially in light of the fact that this is a lot of people's hard-earned money that they have earned selling services to others, and they deserve to be paid for their efforts in selling the services made available on Traffic Monsoon. And there are people who spent their hard-earned money on services that should be delivered. And I believe that it's wrong for people to have to wait that long to have their services delivered. And so we're going to keep moving forward. And I'm really sorry that all this is going on, but as you can probably recognize, and hopefully recognizes, that this whole thing is out of my control. It's not something that I wanted. I certainly didn't want the SEC to get involved, but they did. I believe they shouldn't have, because I believe, and that's been everything that I've ever said, and what I've also said before on this audio, is that there wasn't an investment being offered. And I was always clear in that. And it was there at checkout when people were making purchases that this is not an investment and not a deposit. And so the warning was there not to invest. The warning is there not to treat it as an investment or think of it as an investment, because it's not one. And that's how it is. And that's where we're just going to keep moving forward. And we're going to do our best to reach the end of the road. Hopefully the road is sooner than later. But sooner or later, I'm going to keep working on this until we have a win, because I believe that we should. And so I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support, your help, your positive emotions, your encouragements. And I just want to say, let's not lose our minds because the judge made this decision the way that she did, because the exact same thing also happened to Mark Cuban. He was denied motions. He was denied his motion to dismiss. He was in a position where the SEC was granted preliminary injunction. So far, we haven't really lost anything other than we're still in this case, and we're still moving forward, and we're still in the process of hopefully coming out victorious through all of this. Thank you.